Hello. So, we're back. Streaming a lot today, because I feel like it. I wanted to figure this all out. I've been tweaking settings every time. Hopefully not in a distracting way, but, won't lie, it's been happening. So, you can see my palette now, I think, mostly. And you might even be able to see this palette more, which I would call major improvements. Speaking of this palette, though, this is not gonna work. There's no warm colors here anymore, right? Everything is like at least pink, if not blue or purple, so I do need warm colors. That's what I find, right? As paints all mix together, you end up in this sort of world where everything is just a little bit cool, because real warm colors have to be fairly saturated. You know, at the peak of warmth on the warm-cool scale, gradient. Spectrum is the word we're looking for. That is what's necessary. So, R.I.P. washcloth. This is the thrilling part of painting. I'm also really testing the video stabilization because I've got this thing on a bouncy arm. Apologies if I'm making anybody motion sick. Alright, lots of good squeaking noises. I'm sure the mic's picking those up. I'm sure everyone's grateful. One more round. And this round will take a Kleenex. I try not to use disposable things too much. Also, I don't really know how loud the music is. Like when I watch the audio feed, it's half the volume of my voice, so I hope that that's a good balance. But who knows? So I'm using a new app, not using the built-in YouTube app, because there were a few features it didn't have. I really couldn't sort of adjust anything in the camera. It was streaming at a lower resolution than I wanted. It wasn't saving a version of the file for me, so cleanup is pretty quick, eh? Okay, so back into my poor palette. All sticky. Also, really pushed my wrist in the past week with writing a novella. And between the novella and the promotional tweets, I've just typed probably more in the past month than in the year. So, didn't have the best keyboard hygiene. So, wasn't taking the breaks I needed to be taking, that kind of thing. Alright, you can't see all of it, but this is workable. So I'm going to use this guy. Because it does actually come to a very nice point. I would call that useful. So let's see what we can do. I feel like I kind of need to deal with the figures, you know? Let's get some white. So I'm gonna just spritz my palette. Doesn't need a lot, but it does need a little. So I've decided that this is a sort of overcast, misty day, so that means that the light is cool and the shadows are warm, to simplify things. So that's where we're gonna go. So cool light honestly could just be white, but I don't want to go all the way to white. So I'm gonna take a little bit of my Naples yellow. I keep freezing on that name because I don't use Naples yellow that much. That makes a nice warm light. And then we're going to contrast that with probably blue. Just got a little bit of blue in there. Now gouache, at its value extremes, tends to dry towards less extreme values. So it might look very light when I put it down, but it's unlikely it's going to stay that way. Not significantly anyways. A little bit more water there. There is a sweet spot when it comes to gouache texture. I hear people call it kind of the cream or milk consistency. It's something. See, I'm giving these idiots white pants. Sorry, these goofs white pants. And I'm just letting the colors mix into stuff that is gradually a little bit darker. I have pants now. Our foreground friend has a blonde, so we'll have to figure that out. Oh, that's adorable, and I regret nothing. Like I said, right now I don't have like a yellow. I don't know that I will, honestly. So white paint is really when it becomes a thing that takes work to get out of the brush. And by work I just mean like a lot of water, like a lot of water. Aww. Kind words from a sweet guy. Thanks, Matt. I like your composition. So I picked this like periwinkle color. For the coats. I had another painting with these two characters in it in my mind. They're probably gonna not look that recognizable. Because when you're just developing characters in the painting process, you're not really checking them for consistency and such. But yeah, I had these two in mind. And I was sort of trying it like royal blues and denim blues. They weren't really cutting it, you know? So I think periwinkle is going to be a better fit in terms of like feels magical, stands out. And we can go full lavender in some spots. Try to give some sort of visual consistency. Well, they're in the painting now. What more can you ask for? So I don't think there's too much more I want to do with the brush. I might lay in some branches in here to have them laid in more than anything else. Pick a color. A lot of gray in the rocks in the back there and in the shadows. You can do like a warm gray. I do like to kind of look around and be like, is there a place that it would be good to have this particular color? That's right, I am changing this person's hat. It's a fluffy white fur now on. Okay. So this is probably the darkest color I can make that isn't black. I'm gonna just let that sit there so we can see what it looks like dry. It's gonna take a minute. It is very dry in my house though, so it won't take long. But in terms of just trying to figure out what my shadow options are, probably should just silhouette this whole tree. And yes, we're listening to Zelda and Chill. I was just trying to think of what is probably not going to get me banned from YouTube, but is a little bit more awake than the lo-fi and chill stuff, which I love, but is, even at its most focus-oriented, quite sleepy. And I was sort of hoping to paint for a little over an hour tonight, though we'll see. Well, that's definitely some blobs of green. Mostly in the foreground. So yeah, you can see now it's a bit of a gray, honestly. So, better than nothing. And that color is my Windsor green and my primary red. Alright. Ooh. Eat that rock. Alright, give me a second. Gotta adjust my wrist thing. I'm coming. This poor wrist thing, it's been through the ringer. Oof. It also makes my hand look very chubby. because it's kind of trapped everything in there. Support the rest. It's good for me. I'm gonna switch over to a flat. Is that as clean as I can get it? Looks like yes. So one of the nice things with brushes is even if they start to lose their point, you can get that sort of brush soap, reform the point, let it dry that way, and it will have straightened out a lot of the hairs that are ever so gently curling at the end. Which I think you can maybe see how they are a little curly, a little crispy there. Not quite straight anymore. So hopefully that'll work. Hot water and brush soap. Okay, making it kind of lighter, fuzzy brown for this collar. It's going to be pretty dark once it dries. That's a big blocky textures in this one, I guess. Can't complain. I'm gonna have to paint that tree back over this figure probably no matter what, so I'm not gonna stress too much. One sec. Thanks for your patience. Okay. I want to get a little darker watercolor going. recently painted something with like very, very, very dark water. One of those scenes where the river water looks like coffee, like, how do I explain it? When you see like fresh water, you see a river or a stream through a forest and it's dark, right? It's not that it doesn't look clear, it's that it doesn't look lit. I don't know how to explain it. Anyways, we're going for that vibe. And we'll get there one way or the other. Man, in my mind, I was like, wow, I've put a lot of paint in these things. And the fact that I'm working through some of it so quickly is a little surprising to me. Like I fully did intend to spend it on painting. That's why I bought it. That was the paint's intended purpose. So I'm not really particularly upset. Just, I don't know. I guess the best way to save paint is to become a painter who just paints exactly the mark they mean to paint the first time. And that was already on the life list, so you can get in line with all the other dreams. I do think this value scheme is looking better. So I want to get some blue up in there. And that is just going to lighten everything immediately. You know, kind of without any other input. Just mixing a lot of greenish grays. Just so many. Pull up my water reference photo again. Well, I'm starting to plan, and you know what? That's a lot of it. Water's really hard because until I put a surface on it, it's just kind of a blah. But once you get a surface on it, it can be really exciting. It's just, you know, currently a blah. Let's do some background trees. Very carefully putting my 3/4 inch brush into these squares on an angle. So I do have a deadline for this piece, and it is this Friday, because I've agreed with some friends in a Discord that I'm in to do a little one plein air a day challenge for the week before Christmas, for the week of the solstice, so the 17th to the 23rd. And I do think it's going to be really fun, and I want to kind of clear my desk for that. I was trying to decide what surface to do it on, and I suppose it makes sense to just sort of finish my sketchbook. And yes, this is a Mossry sketchbook that I took the cover off of because it was too heavy. Turns out I'm not dedicated to cute stationery. But I've been doing some test landscapes in here, and in addition to like plein air paintings that I did over the summer. So some virtual plein airs I think would fit in nicely. And I believe I have more than enough pages. And it would be really cool to finish that sketchbook before the new year. What a catharsis that would be. Very scared I'm going to run out of this blue teal before the painting is done and I've hinged the whole painting on it. That would be very in character for me. Honestly, it would. I bumped it. It finally happened. We all knew it would. Sorry. I ended up lightening that tree, and I'm not sure that's the right choice. I wash all of the white paint out of this brush, which is no small feat. It takes multiple tubs of water. I made this tub that goes with my little square palette, and someday I'll show on stream what that looks like. 'Cause it's very cute. Though if you watch other people who paint on YouTube, you've probably already seen it, because I'm just hopping on a trend. But it is a trend that answers a question I've had for a long time, which is, how do I keep my gouache fresh? And it's really lovely, but imagine if they had had the foresight to put little silicone nubs on the bottom for me to scrape my brush against. Oh, just imagine. Not even the foresight, just the interest, you know, kind of. I'm gonna have to top up some paints in here soon. Making a very warm green to go onto this tree in some capacity. Yeah, that teal really lightens things. We're gonna let that dry. Decide what I want to do with these rocks. I guess I want to show that they're wet. Give them darker colors at the base. Oh, also, this app is wonderful. I love it very much. But it doesn't have any stitching capabilities, and my phone doesn't have any built-in video stitching capabilities. So if anybody has a recommendation for something with stitching capabilities, I am, for Android, I'm looking for a one-time payment experience, because I'm not really interested in a tool that I have to keep updating, because I'm not a high-end user. Don't really know what I'm doing. It's the real truth here. So sort of hoping for something that would come along on that ride with me. So you remember I mentioned this is leaning. This is an angled surface. So you can see things sort of rolling down a little bit in some spots. Okay, let's figure out these stones. So I'm mixing up a sort of slightly more purple, darker color for these lower extremities that presumably have gotten quite wet, being near the stream. And it's a glaze. Glazing in gouache is kind of hilariously foolish. And I keep doing it, you know? I do it so much in other media. Even if you had to sort of ask, like, oh, Shell, how do you do value stuff with pencil or pen and ink or ink wash? It's ink glazing. Really kind of inch up to what I want on the page. That does help. That really does ground some. I'm painting this using a bunch of different cobbled together reference. So none of this is accurate to any particular reference. I'm building things out of other things. So these stones are being built out of my memory of stones at like Parry Sound, stuff like Killbear Provincial Park here in Ontario, where they're, you know, iron-rich stones. They've rusted into all these incredible oranges and reds, and they have this kind of very ground down look to them because they're part of the Canadian Shield, which got a little beat up in the last ice age. Really sanded down very thoroughly by glaciers. It's really cool. Humans were alive to see it and present to see it. That's just incredible. Well, at least to see it recede. Okay, so we've got our darker purpley color, so then we can assume that this higher part has less purple and more warm colors. So I can start making some warmer grays. I know I'm simplifying some shapes that maybe it looked like I really cared about, but I'm pretty confident that simple is better. I really like this Zelda and lo-fi Zelda and chill stuff. I know it's really cheesy, but it's really scratching that itch, friends. Oh boy. Desk friends, you know that ache in between your shoulder blades? I think it's the rhombus. That real jerk muscle. Anyone's discovered any magical rhombus taming stretches, please throw them in the comments. Even when I'm really desperately trying to do things like use a standing desk, which is what I'm doing here, which is why my voice is sort of getting quieter and then getting louder and then getting quieter. I'm going to work on that, but probably not that much. it's a curse. I'm a dancer. Dance back and forth. Well, now I have to find my animal ref, and I just don't know where the hell I put it. There we are. I thought, you know, it'd be really fun to paint some Bettas. So this looks kind of crappy right now, but I'm plotting out where the fish is. Somewhere between a betta and a koi and a dragon is how I would describe what I'm currently painting. So when I started this composition, I had some fish laid in, and I don't remember where they all were. There's got to be one in front of this person, so. So the fun thing about the composition, it feels really quite bright, but I don't have a ton of colors in it right now. I have this kind of pink and orange, purple and green combo. So I guess some split complementaries. And I think it's making everything feel really vibrant without even really using particularly vibrant colors. There's some hot pinks scattered, but none of the blues or greens are saturated, like at all. So that's pretty cool. Okay, wait, 1, 2. And then maybe we can have a big one coming in off of here. So this is a very, very dark color. I think it's gonna dry a lot lighter though. I definitely have some cleanup to do tomorrow, but that's okay. Okay, for my wrap up, I'm going to lay in some sort of gray foam around some spots because I've been meaning to put in foam. I do think it looks a little weird without it. and then I'm going to call it and go read my book. Also, if you read my Twitter fic, my Twitter novella, don't write novellas on Twitter. I wrote a novella on Twitter. If you gave it a read, thank you so much. And if you're wondering why I'm not just writing 1,000 things one after the other, it's because I've never done this before. And I'm feeling a little burnt out, honestly, from the whole writing experience. It's been amazing and also really all-encompassing. Really takes over your whole brain, eh? You know, they tell you, but you don't believe them. So I'm sort of letting ideas percolate. The good news is, I think I've picked a couple ideas to percolate on. So that's boding well. I do think the foam is helping. I mean, it's showing the direction of the water, which I appreciate. It's not super white, so it's sort of covering up some of the places where I left the white of the page showing. Okay, I can see where this is going. It's not there yet, but I can see the direction it's headed. And I can start thinking about things I want to do to get it there. Probably a little bit more tree. I don't know exactly how or where. Something that's going to knock this character back but not obscure them? That's a big ask, isn't it? Who can know? Who can know? I'm enjoying all of this sort of seafoam green. Okay. I'm calling it. Thank you so much if you tuned in, stopped by, looked at this later. You rock. I guess you could subscribe if you like these things, but it's There's no schedule, so does that mean you do want to ring the bell? I have no idea. YouTube is exciting and new. Mostly I just watch it. But I thought streaming would be fun. Because it's lonely in the pandemic. Maybe people would enjoy the sound of my voice nattering on about gouache. Anyways, thank you so much for joining. Have an excellent night, morning, whenever you watch this. And take it easy. Bye!